morning and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. I'm Larry Kalvig, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. Thanks for listening this morning. Feel free to give us a call at 612-504-8400 at any time, or visit us online, havenfinancialgroup.com. All kinds of retirement tools, our educational events, a calendar of events, and there's still several, even though we're in the fourth quarter. We keep doing it throughout the year. And Kim, good to be with you again.
It's great to be with you as well. Here we are in November. Hey, before we get started with today's topic, which is we're going to talk about some of the issues that you should never ignore as you plan for your retirement. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about open enrollment. How is that going here? Again, as we find ourselves in November, how much longer do we have, and what do people need to know about that real quickly?
Well, interesting you say that, because Glenn Ramey will be on the second segment with us, and we'll pose that question to him too. Here's how I see it going. It is crazy. Insurance companies have done a lot of things here at the last second, right before annual enrollment, and a lot of clients, they don't know where to turn to, because with the changes, a variety of fronts of changes. Certain plans completely dropped. So pretty much everybody's having to look at it. And I know Isabella and Glenn Ramey, who do that in our office, are absolutely swamped until December 7th. They're adding Saturdays, adding early morning, evenings, just to do our best at Haven to accommodate. Now, what listeners don't know, and they probably are surprised that I would even mention this, insurance companies came with these changes on the consumer level, but they also came to the agents on the agent level and said, oh, by the way, you can help the consumer out with this Medicare, these changes, but we're not going to pay you any commissions. Right. Completely slashed the commissions. Now, for the consumer with us, you don't pay anymore to have somebody help you. There's no extra fee or anything to that, but I don't think it's any secret that insurance companies incentivize very little for the agent to help the consumer navigate through this healthcare discussion. And by the way, that healthcare discussion can be very complicated. Right. It's hard for anybody, let alone an elder person, to navigate it through. They threw all these curveballs at us at the last second. And at the end of the day, a producer wants to get something for all their hard work, not complaining. But again, it's just know that we're here to help in any capacity, whether it's annual enrollment, open enrollment, any of those items. We're here to help, and we can be a resource in any area. But that's what's going on in annual enrollment, and we can pose that a quick question when Glenn's on in the second segment.
Absolutely. And that leads us now to what it is we want to talk about this show, and that's some of the aspects of your retirement that you certainly don't want to ever ignore. One of those being, of course, healthcare. And as Larry said, Glenn Ramey's going to join us in our second segment to talk a little bit more about that. I want to talk to him too, Larry, about how the government shutdown has impacted enrollment, because I know that's a question that a lot of people have had. We
Right.
also want to talk about stability in retirement, something that you certainly don't want to ignore. Social Security, obviously. I mean, it plays such a big part in so many people's retirement, and there's so much to know about it. So we're going to talk about that. And then finally, we'll chat a little bit more at the end of the show about, not just retiring and surviving, but thriving in your retirement, and how important it is to not ignore that. I think for a lot of people, Larry, retirement becomes so much about money, 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 money. And there's got to be more to retirement than just that.
There certainly is, or there should be. And that's where we have the conversations to really look at it holistically, retirement from a holistic standpoint. The age group that we serve, we're not limited to, controls about 74% of the investable assets. And I'm referring to those 55 and older. 74% of the investable assets. That's a really big number. So it's another reason why it's so important for people to have retirement financial plans that are very thorough and well thought through. But it is retirement's way more than a certain number that you're trying to get to. Assets and money does help a role for retiring early, but there's other things that drive these choices. Okay. What a successful retirement looks to you, health. We're going to talk about healthcare. But it's turning that money that you've worked hard for, all those accumulation years, and turning it into an income, because income really is the name of the game. I've mentioned it before. We have clients that have very little in retirement assets, but they have big Social Security and big pensions, and they're happy.
Mhm.
We have those that have a whole bunch of retirement assets, high net worth, that their fear is running out of money, and rightfully so. So it's more than just a certain number that I think our industry has done a disfavor to say, oh, you got to have 2 million, you got to have 4 million, you got to have this number. Throw the number out. Your situation is your situation, and it should be looked at on a one-by-one basis.
Sure, absolutely. Well, when we look at some of these aspects of retirement that make it, your own, let's start with the idea of stability. What do you see as stability in retirement, Larry?
Just knowing that you have all your ducks in a row, that income, you really need to look at everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, when people sit down with us and our team, from the very beginning, our proprietary process is we're going to ask questions and take notes, and probably things nobody's ever asked you. Yes, it has to do with your net worth, your liquid assets, your shared assets. If you're married, is there any inheritance coming? Unfortunately, this week, and the longer the many years I do this, I think I had 3 different clients that received inheritance. Fantastic, but they lost a loved one to get there. We have a thorough conversation on expenses and healthcare costs. We'll talk more, but it's an expense that people underestimate. What are your other income streams? We're going to look at all facets of retirement. It's what we have done, we'll continue to do. It should be part of everybody's planning process. That doesn't end just when you do it initially. It should be monitored. It changes. Life happens, and we know it can happen very, very quickly.
And for people who maybe go into retirement and they don't address, because I know you see all different situations, they don't address some of these topics that you've just brought up. Instability does eventually come into their lives. Yes,
it does. It does. It's why there's a lot of people out there that fear retiring. Do I have enough to retire? When am I going to run out of money? Is it 95? Is it never? Is it 75? And let's face it, some people love to work. Some people just love to work, and there's fulfillment that comes from it. I just last week had a couple from Lakeville. He's still working. He's 72. He's like, I love what I do. It's not that difficult, and I still make money. So why wouldn't I continue to do it? It gives me purpose. And for many retirees, especially in Minnesota in November, come December, so for some, that's not a good time to retire. Because now you have the wonderful winter, which I've lived here my whole life. Still complain about it, but I've lived here my whole life. And I've heard it too many times where we wish we would have retired in the spring because, man, it was a long, long winter.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, so how can people answer that question for themselves? How do they know if their retirement is stable?
Well, first, have a plan and have a partner that you can have a conversation, a continued conversation, one today, whether it's monthly, quarterly, annually, something. I've said it so many times, retirement is more than a meeting once or twice a year for 30 to 45 minutes to an hour. You have all the different retirement puzzle pieces, all the different topics that should be coordinated. They should work together. And oftentimes they work in different directions, from taxes to insurance to investments, et cetera. If you're listening and you don't know if all these puzzle pieces, I want you to take advantage of getting this important guidance, at least from somebody. You're listening to us right now and to me right now and Haven Financial Group for 10 years, because it is our 10-year anniversary. It's what we focused on. We will continue to focus on. We want to take the worry out of retirement, because let's face it, a lot of people do worry about retirement, and some rightfully so, and others not so rightfully so. Some people just worry just to worry, and I guess that's some people's nature. But by having a partner and having conversations, you can get the confidence to know that we are in good shape, we're not in good shape, or this is what we need to do to better our situation.
All right. So if you're someone who is wondering, is my retirement stable? Have I taken the steps that I need to? And maybe you'd like someone to just take a look at your portfolio to make that decision or to help you make that decision. Or maybe you haven't put together a plan at all. You heard Larry say a stable retirement is one that has a plan. Why don't you give the folks at Haven Financial Group a call? It's 612-504-8400. Set up an appointment, go in, chat with the folks there at Haven. I want to give you the number again, and we'll give it to you throughout the hour. It's 612-504-8400. Today, Larry Kolvig and I are talking about the things that you don't want to miss when it comes to retirement. If you want a successful retirement, we're suggesting that you don't miss, number one, a stable, planned retirement. And number two is healthcare. And we're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. This is the Haven Financial Group Radio Show.